You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always is my good friend
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And we'd like to welcome everybody to our podcast. We're missing AK Mike. He's once again out doing thespian stuff, I think.
Thespian, yes.
And he's getting ready to kind of do some traveling, I think, too. He's been sending us photos of
it's going to the islands, man.
Yeah, so I think he's going to do some international travel here soon. So that's always good to hear him. Well, in case you haven't already done so, please check out our YouTube page. We've had a couple of new subscribers. We love it when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that bell or smack the bell and subscribe, and that helps us out and gets us into that YouTube algorithm. And then check us out on whatever podcast platform you use, whether it's iHeartRadio or Pandora or whatever, Amazon, Apple iTunes, I think it's right, Apple Podcast. We are on all those platforms, and we appreciate you and your patronage. It helps us out, and we appreciate it. Once again, we were looking at some of our metrics, and we do have some people that are across the pond. So whether you're in England or you're in a European country, send us an email.
Or Japan. Don't forget Japan.
Or Japan.
Number one
listeners
there.
Or Canada even. I mean, I think Canada's up there too. So send us an email, parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. And we appreciate you and listening all the way across the world. So we are in the holiday season, believe it or not. If I haven't said so, here in the U.S., we celebrate Thanksgiving. It's it's the 24th of November. Yep. And typical for us, we get Black Friday sales, which is usually the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is at the end of this week. And normally, I know, right? And normally in the past, it's been huge. Yeah, huge. We have always, of course, Nick Turner from out in North Carolina. He is Johnny on the spot with his texts and emails and telling us, hey, look, these are all the Black Friday sales that we're looking at. And so we're always looking forward to his input. And he's sent us a couple of things this year. But once again, this year is kind of slim pickings. I haven't seen any massive, big, like 50% off or, some of these huge sales that we've seen in the past. And I think that's probably because of the consolidation, maybe.
Well, the consolidation, the economy is a little bit in a recession, although they kind of deny it. There is a recession out there, So, of course, and the supply and demand, right? So making kits, getting things they need for the kits may not be as easy. Plus, just coming off the pandemic, a lot of the stuff's made in China. They may not have the workers to be, able to make the kits for us or new products that are supposed to come out. So if you remember, we were talking to the guy who worked for, what the heck's the company? They make a bunch of wings, and I have a couple of their gliders, and basically they were supposed to come out with a whole bunch of new stuff, and because the pandemic came out, it just set them back like a year or two.
Oh, Zoe HD is who you're talking about.
Yeah, Zoe HD.
Yeah.
So the Zoe HD guys got hurt kind of bad with this stuff. So let's face it, Mike, the golden years of Hobby King, Thanksgiving, Black Friday sales, which used to be epic.
Yeah, that's true.
With the stuff they were giving away for that 1 or 2 days, and it was awesome. The stuff that we could buy.
I used to clean house, man. I'd save my pennies for that one day because I would have a huge stash of cash. They jump in there and grab a cash.
I mean, all the kits they were
busting a rhyme today.
Oh yeah,
I know, right?
But unfortunately, I think those days are over. So,
well, and on top of that too is that my wife, as much as she loves me, she puts up with my shenanigans. And if you probably can see, we built a new home for my specific shop. And I am a firm believer that you have to have the right tool for the right job. And I told her that the day that I retire, I will never have to buy another RC part again because I will own them all. And I think I'm well on my way. So I think before, over the past, 25 years of doing this, I think we've been looking forward to the sales. But honestly, now at this stage of the game, it's not like I'm pining for. I literally have 30 airplanes sitting in the box, waiting to be built. Some of them very expensive, airplanes.
It's only certain kits or a few planes that I'm really kind of gunning for, or if something falls in my lap, that I'm jonesing for. Do I really, like you said, get excited or a new plane comes out that I go, ooh, I would really like to have that. But I'm kind of in that same zone you are. My big thing now, believe it or not, is batteries, right? Because my batteries going through the cycle of batteries. Well, I'm getting to where, a few of my, 6 cells are getting kind of old, or a bunch of my 3 cells, have reached their end of life, and I'm barely squeaking them out and I need to replace them all. That's when I'm kind of getting excited about the sales is now for batteries, more for aircraft is more for the batteries.
Right. Well, the good news then is that Pulse battery, which I know you can buy at Northwest RC and a couple of other places. They actually have a Black Friday sale that's coming up. I think it's going on right now. If you go to pulsebattery.com, it's up to 20% off. And that's off of the transmitter battery deals. You've got, uh, 5 cell, 6 cell. They've got 860 batteries, and they're a fairly decent price. You can buy them with separate, different connectors. Believe it or not, the turbine jet, I did buy some of these, and I've been, happy with them. I think batteries are one of those things that the higher the dollar I spend on them, the more cautious I get with just buying. It's one thing when you're buying $3, $5 batteries, I'd just buy anything. But if you're going to spend, $50 to $100 or more on a 6 cell, then I think that there's a definite push towards the quality. So I'm not as likely to buy something that's, I might spend 30 or 40 on it, and then it blows up in 2 or 3, or puffs up in 2 or 3 flights, as opposed to, buying something that's a little more expensive and allows me to get a few more. So I will tell you that not being loyal to any battery company at the moment, but the Pulse battery guys do have a sale going on for their pre-Black Friday sale, and you can go check them out at pulsebattery.com.
Well, dude, along the same lines, a company that I just kind of fell into, kind of discovered, it's called rcbattery.com. They're relatively new guys. They've been out for maybe a year or two. And I've been getting my 6 cells from them, and they've had some really good deals. And right now you can get the 5 or 6 cells, 65C, 22 LiPo battery with XT90 plugs. I think they have EC5s as well. And for their special, they're $50. And
wow, that's actually really good.
And the ones I have a similar battery, and I've had no problems with it, so far. So for the savings that you get for that, it's definitely well worth it for that particular battery. I kind of like those guys. So for all the batteries, I haven't puffed any of the batteries that I got for them.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. And they have a sale on like a whole bunch of things. Even Mike would be happy because, for the 3 cell 2200s, they have on sale as well. So, excuse me. I think you'd be really interested in that as well.
I've also, keeping in line with the batteries, I've also found HRB, which is a very good company as well. I have several of their batteries.
You have a couple of those
that we've just purchased. They're actually pretty good with the 6 cells, and I think you can buy them. They have an Amazon store and they have a eBay store, and you can go to the HRB Amazon or eBay store, and they actually have pairs. And that's usually how I buy them. Is that they'll have 2 6-cell batteries that you could buy, and I think the last I heard they were fairly reasonable. I'm wanting to say that the 2 of them is around $160. So that's not too bad for 2 big 5,000 milliamp 6 cells. I have used them, and I've stressed them out pretty good because I've used them in my EDFs, and they last. They do very well. So I like them as well. Of course, A-Power batteries, we had them for a sponsor for quite some time, and I have several of those. They actually have a Facebook page you can go and check out. But other than that, uh, batteries are always, you always need batteries. Always.
Right.
Can't go wrong. So very, very cool. Well, check out those batteries if you have someone. I mean, obviously, we still have a few days before Black Friday. So if you do have something, send us an email at parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, and we can actually post that to our Facebook page. We have a podcast, or Park Flyer Podcast listeners group, and we'll post that on the listeners group page. Or if you're on our listeners group page, you can post something, and we'll be happy to mention that as well, or at least send it out.
And the nice thing about this year, it all lined up, right? For when our podcast comes out.
That's true.
But when we got actually to do the podcast, to put it out,
right.
It's actually coming out right before the holiday. So it's going to be, people get to listen to this and go, hey, they said that this is on sale, and they can go and check it out before the sale's over. Usually we tell people, hey, this thing is fantastic. And they were like, yeah, that sale was over like 3 months ago. What are you guys doing?
Or at least last week, right? Yeah, we had 1 year that it actually came out after Black Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah, we try to do it. We try to do the podcast every 2 weeks, and so sometimes it falls after Black Friday. Sometimes it's 2 weeks prior, and we're talking about Black Friday before it, actually even happens. So, but this week it works out. Today's Tuesday, and then we get it out. Black Friday's on Friday, so. But that's kind of cool. I did get an email. I have ordered from this company before, General Hobby, which is basically generalhobby.com. And they have, most of the time their sales are ongoing. I don't necessarily know if this is a continuation into Black Friday, but they do have several airframes. I actually own a F-16 from those guys, and it flies really well. And then I know that they just, I don't think it was just released recently, but it's a newer aircraft, an SR-71, and it looks very cool. I'm not really, I don't know if I would really like flying that. I've never tried the SR-71, but I've seen some out there that are pretty impressive. So if you have one of those, please send us an email and let us know what you think of that. It'd be interesting to, to hear if one of our listeners is actually flying it. They have bigger airplanes, B-17 Fortress that comes with retracts, and you can get it in 1 or 2 different colors. Of course, the LX F-16, which I do have, it's a 70 millimeter EDF. And then they have some sport airplanes, that you can get. Some really kind of cool stuff. They're LX F4F Wildcat. It has folding wings and does some really cool stuff. And they have an LX model, which is F-117 Stealth Fighter as well. So those are all kind of cool airframes that kind of caught my eye, and they are all on sale at generalhobby.com. And, give them a look and see what you think, and let us know if it helped you out. If you decided to get one, let us know.
Yeah, and I also saw at RacedayQuads, and although it's a quad place, they do sell RC planes as well, and they have an FPV plane, and it's called the Atomic Dolphin, and it's kind of a forward swept wing, kind of has a little some canards up front. It's kind of futuristic looking. It flies a little fast. But they have a fantastic deal. I guess they're getting rid of a lot of their stock. And I know this is, if you guys got to get on this because it's not going to last long. But
Yeah,
they actually
that's
have an
true.
FPV model that normally goes for like 180, 190 something, almost $200. But right now it's only $109. So,
Oh,
that's the plane, the FPV gear, and I think it's almost plug and play. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with that, but I know it's the FPV version with all that gear. So that's a great savings. And they also have just the regular plane itself, and I want to say it was I saw that one was like $89 or $99 for the kit. And I think the plug and play model is maybe 129 or so. And the
wow.
plane, from what I read, got great reviews. So that, like I said, the one that's going for 109 with the FPV gear, stop. Don't answer the phone. Run out there and go get that one. That's a great deal
Right.
for sure.
Right. Well, awesome. You did mention the Zoe HD and a company called RMRC. RMRC. They have some Strix and some other FPV. We're kind of sticking with the FPV. They're Goblins, and I mentioned Zoe HD. They have their Dart XL
Hmm.
for less than $100. They have the Talon, which I think is what you have. It's
Oh,
less than $100, about
that's what AK Mike
or
has.
Mike, AK Mike has, and it's about $90. And then I think you can right now pre-order. They have a new airplane coming out called the Zoe HD Alpha Strike, which is a little bit of Delta Wing. It's a pusher. It is a plug and play airplane, and it's a pre-order for about $129, $130.
Is that one an
Um,
EDF?
no, it's got. You know what? Actually, you can get it in either. You can get the Zoe HD Alpha Strike in the FPV RC plane plug and play with a prop, or you can get the Delta Strike, which is the ducted fan.
Gotcha.
And the ducted fan runs for about $150, and then the Alpha Strike, which is the propeller version, runs for about $130. They also have the Sonic models, which are the wings.
Hmm.
I've flown one of those before,
Yep, I have one.
and they're about $50, $50 to $75, depending on how you get the kit or you get the plug and play. So they're both under $100 as well. And then they have the new Talon GT Rebel kit, which is also a pre-order. It's a straight wing, kind of looks like a Talon, but it's a little bit different. It's got more of a square nose and a little bit bigger wing, I think. So, but they're all FPV platforms, and so yeah, you can. I think there's a couple other airplanes you can get it. I mentioned the Strix, the Nano Goblins, and the regular Goblins, which different manufacturer, but give them a check at Ready Made RC,
Yeah.
RMRC, which is ReadyMadeRC.com.
Well, we're big fans
Uh,
of the Zoe HDs, man, because the great thing about those planes
yes,
are you can break them down and put them right back in the box and carry them
yeah,
with you.
that is very, very true.
The ones that we have, I just love them because they're just a little small
Hmm.
box about that big, and you can just break everything back down, put it in the box, jump on a
Right.
plane, take it with you, reassemble it. And the nice part is it may seem a little iffy because it doesn't,
Hmm.
there's nothing glued together. If you want to keep your plane non-glued, you can keep in that configuration. And the nice part is the last time Mike, AK Mike was down here and we were flying his, I put it through a fence, sort of. I was trying to fly in between
Hmm.
the fence wires, and as it
Right,
was kind of
right.
going out of control. But the cool part was,
That's funny.
since it's not glued together, all the when it hits something, everything falls apart and
Right,
it
just pops
minimizes the
apart.
damage. Yeah, everything pops off. So the wings just pop out. You just pop them back in. They snap back in, and minimal damage. We were able to repair that plane. Quite remarkable for what it is.
Mm, very, very cool. Well, for my turbine guys out there, there's a company called Boom RC, Boom RC. So it's BOOMARC.com. And they use a lot of the AR advanced radio products, which you can get. They come with like you're putting on if you're flying bigger airplanes like I do, or EDFs or jets. They're one of the higher end guys that have ignition switches, ECUs. They have air and system and sequencers, digital switches. They've gotten more of, that kind of thing to run, like, battery buses and really high end servos for jets and turbine kind of stuff. So give them a check, check them out as well. They have a lot of different products for both gas and turbine style. So, see what, if you're into that kind of thing, or if you're on our podcast and you're listening to those, then they do have some of that stuff on sale right now too. So, and let's see, there was one other that I thought of, and I can't remember. I had another one right on the top of my head, and I can't remember. But what I do remember, in the little time we have left in the short podcast when you start talking about sales, but I have to give a shout out to my Tuesday group. They, I unfortunately have been flying on weekends up through Tuesday, and I haven't had a chance to go fly with them. But I was invited just recently to participate, although I couldn't. But I was invited to participate in a Guinness Book of World Records again. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago we did. They asked if you had to fill out a resume and say, hey, this is my credentials, and I'm going to be standing in watching this particular Guinness Book World Record qualification, and then I had to sign an affidavit that I watched it, and I certified that it was completed, which is an interesting process all on its own, because you kind of have to give your you know why what makes you the expert in watching this, and so I had to kind of like list this stuff. It was kind of funny. And my resident, they were looking at it and they're like, "Wow, aviation, RC, aviation, RC, instructor, pilot, blah blah blah." And they're like, "Okay, well, you qualify." So I was invited out, and they did. The last time that we were there, Jim and his group, they were able to do the fastest time to climb to like 100 feet or 500 feet, something like that. I think it was 100 feet. And they did that in just like nanoseconds, which is amazing. And then they did a deadlift with the world's smallest quad that lifted, it was basically like less than 1 pound, and it lifted like a 6-pack or 5-pack of Coca-Cola. So whatever that weight works out. But it was very interesting. It was a full day affair watching the guys work on this stuff, and then going out and then saying, okay, well, here we go. And then try to lift it, and something would happen, and, the weight swing. And so they'd have to figure it all out. And it was kind of interesting to watch these minds work. While just recently, this last weekend, they just set another world record with the fastest quad. It was over 230 miles an hour, I think.
Wow.
It was the guy, they had it up at Jim's place again, because he's got 20 acres that you can go test on. And they basically brought 5 or 6 quads that they had built for speed. And they looked like these bullets. They were quite amazing, and actually wound up setting a Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest quad. So it was amazing. I got to see a short video of it, although you can hear it, you really can't see it. It goes through the video. I actually had to put it. You would have to put it on the big screen television just to kind of see it, because if you're watching it on my phone like I was, it was just like, holy crap! How do you even see that thing? Luckily, the guy that was filming it put a circle around it. As the circle goes across the screen real quick, you're like, okay, that was it. That little dot as it clips by at well over 200 miles an hour. So kudos to them. Congratulations on their Guinness Book of World Records setting quad flight. And my apologies for not being there this year. It was I had a work conflict, but it would have been fun.
Well, we need to have Jim on, man. So I'd like to hear his his take on this.
Beaver, but we'll have to see. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And now, it wasn't Jim's quad. I think Jim was hosting it, but I don't think it's. I don't know if it was his brother. Yeah, it was
because his brother set the world record for like the deadlift stuff, right?
Yeah, but maybe it was his brother-in-law or somebody that did the other one. But I'll have to check for sure. I'm not really sure. But
that's funny for family reunions. What do you want to do? I guess we can get T-shirts or have a picnic, or we can fly these quads really, really fast.
Yeah. Well, his whole family's geniuses. I mean, the guy's just. It's amazing just to even go up to his shop and just see the stuff that he works on. And, he's the one that kind of built his own airplanes.
Yep.
He like modeled them and he did all this research. It's like a physicist or something, or whatever they call that, aeronautical,
engineer,
physics or whatever. aeronautical engineer. But yeah, he's incredibly bright. I love talking to the guy, and he just has these great, he's very meticulous, and I've flown almost every one of his airplanes that he's designed and made, and they just fly amazing. So, and I'm always like, "Where'd you get this kit?" He goes, "Oh, I made it." And I'm like, "No way, how did you do this?" Because it's like all, he's got wings that have like a camber on them and a full, developed wing and a full developed tail, and I'm like, "How did you do this?" "Oh, I got a wire cutter. I just cut it out." I'm like, "Oh man!" And he builds all that stuff in his shop. It's just amazing. I'm like, "Oh, I got this big shop, and I don't build any of that garbage. So how would I know how to do it?" But it was fun to see, and the guys that did volunteer to go up, they had a good time. So shout out to those guys.
Excellent.
Anyway, well, the holidays are upon us, man. This year just went zipping by again. It's not
As it
quite the end
always
of the year,
does,
but we're
dude.
getting close. And I mean, we're down to the last few episodes for our season, and we start a new one next year, I guess. But it's it's quite amazing.
Well, didn't you get? We could tell that New Year's almost here because didn't you get a little query from our friend out in the desert who happens to run that little club out there that we go to every spring?
We did, yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah, actually, Shannon Gallagher reached out to us. He wants to get with us. We're going to have him on before the end of the year for the Arizona Electric Festival that's being
Exactly.
held early in February this year. I think it's the first weekend in February, so like the second, third, and fourth, something like that. He told me. I'll have to verify it for sure, but I think it's
See,
first weekend.
we're already
So
back to the
yeah,
we're already back to that already.
it just seems. I know I live my life to see when the next Arizona
Festival is.
Electric Festival
Yep.
is. Hmm. And this year is going to be even bigger. I think this is a big year for those guys, and it's it gets bigger every year, and we enjoy it. I think last year was a little chilly, but we'll see what happens this year. And it was a little windy, and we always wind up doing security. But yeah, we'll have Shannon on and talk about some of the shenanigans that he's got prepared for us at the coming up festival here. So, and unfortunately today, this last weekend, um, it was the jet rally over at his club as well, and was working, so I couldn't go. But work. I have to say, work gets in the way of my hobbies. It's really kind of irritating at the moment.
It's a pain. You can stop
It
at any
is.
time. That's the beauty of it.
Unlike you, I know it's why it's kind of crazy. I'm like the last one in line. You've kind of got it down, dialed in, and Mike is getting close, and then I'm just like, why am I the young guy in the group? But it's been a great career, and I still have a little ways to go. But yeah, sometimes it's frustrating when I want to go fly, or I got a note from Barry, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm headed out to the Jet Festival," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working." Shut up. So. But hopefully it'll get better, and I'll be able to go to a couple more. I'm getting excited about it. And in my new house, I've kind of got everything kind of winding down. We're to the last one or two projects, and then once they're done, I was like, oh, finally I get some free time to go work on planes, go fly, and
Yeah, I will believe that when I hear it. So
yeah, I know. So I did get some landing gear done from one of my buds. They decided to redo the brakes on my turbine jet, so I gave him all my landing gear, and he manufactured and actually put new uh, brakes on there. So now
wow.
they're yeah, he did a great job. I was really shocked at the quality of the work, and I shouldn't say I was really shocked at the quality of work. I was shocked at the ability that he had to make this look like a factory setting.
So I
I
take it
mean,
he
I
has a
don't know.
machine shop, or he's machinist, or he's a CNC machine.
Kind of, sorta. He actually, believe it or not, builds custom hot rods. So he does
Gotcha.
have a lot of that, equipment. But he has several turbines as well, and he was telling me when I was at the club last flying that he goes, "Oh, hey, have you flown those brakes yet?" He said they kind of stick, and I'm like, "Oh no, I haven't." And he's like, "Well, I've got a new brake system that I've made on mine They work really well. They don't bind. He said they don't wear out the tires. They don't flat spot. He said you can really get on them, and they're linear. They're a true linear brake, like stepping on your brake pedal. And I'm like, really? I'm interested in those. He's like, well, pull your landing gear off and bring it to me, and let me see what I can do. So I did, and it took him about 2 weeks, but he just handed it back to me the other day. He's like, oh, I got your landing gear done. Here you go. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
It is who you know, yeah. Because amazingly for me, it looks literally like it came out of the package. I mean, it doesn't. If you looked at the ones before and looked at these, you would not notice there's slight difference, but not anything major that you would be like, oh yeah, that's totally different. So that was kind of good. So anyway, what can I say? Well, I want to wish everyone in the States happy Thanksgiving. And,
alcohol.
Spend it with your family, cut some turkey, shoot us an email, let us know, take some photos and post them on our Facebook page. And then head out to Black Friday sales and wherever you are in the world and log into some of those websites and see pick yourself up. We appreciate your patronage once again and wish you the best coming up to the holiday season. We'll talk more. But for now, I'm Michael in Arizona.
I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
See you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.